Hey all you super players out there, Ben Lodice aka 5 Buck Lunch, coming at you with a nice quick little deck profile here for Piccolo hand control. This deck's pretty crazy. It has a really strong ability to discard all of your opponent's cards out of their hand. It actually has 29 out of the 50 cards in your deck somehow discard cards from your opponent's hand. Also, your leader does it as well. So I'm just going to kind of go through it quick here. For negates, we're playing 4 Dimension Magic and 1 Hero's Mafuba. We're playing Heroes Mafuba because you can get it back with Super 17, and if you have Goku Black, A Delicate Plan, or Twisted Justice, you get the secondary effect of Heroes Mafuba. Otherwise, it's just a regular green negate. Our 4 Android 17 check energies. We're playing 4 of the new super combo, Android 18 Bionic Blitz. You could super combo with it at any life, and when you do, your opponent picks a card in their hand and puts it on the bottom of their deck. 2 hidden potential. We're playing a green leader, and hidden potential can be really critical against certain decks right now. It's very good against successor. If they go for a 4-cost successor, you can just bounce it back to their, or put it to the discard pile, and they lose the things they successored with. 2 Son Gohan and Piccolo Pupil and Master. This card discards cards when it attacks, so it's good in the deck. It's the right colors, and it's just a good kind of mid-tier thing to put on the board. 2 Ultra Instinct Goku the Unstoppable. You won't be playing this as much as a lot of the other Piccolo Surge decks. That's why we're only running 2, because keeping up 4 energy is kind of less of a thing in this deck, since we're going to be wanting to use our energies for our Cell Destroying Kamehamehas and Special Beam Cannons. But it's still a really good problem solver for Secret Rares and other things, so we're still going to put 2 in there. Same kind of thing with Son Goku and Son Gohan Saiyans of Earth. This deck isn't super conducive to arrivals. We have our super combo, which is nice for arriving with, but for the most part, we're using extra cards to combo, which don't count towards arrivals, but it's still a good option to have, so we're going to play 2. The one of Android 21, Violent Predator. It's a good kind of win condition against Hachiyak and against the new Boo. If your opponent's not combo or not charging their energy correctly too, it can also still be devastating against normal decks. We're playing 4 of Cell's Earth Destroying Kamehameha and 4 of Special Beam Cannon. These cards kind of do the same thing. Cell's or Earth Destroying Kamehameha. If your leader's green, you can choose one of your leader battle cards, give it plus 15. And if all of your energy is green, you can choose 1 card in your opponent's hand and place it in their drop area. Special Beam Cannon is only 1,000, but same thing. You can choose one of your opponent's cards in their hand and place it in the drop area. One thing to note with these, and one thing that makes this deck so good, is your opponent doesn't get to pick for this. You get to pick randomly. So it gives you a lot of opportunities throughout the game to snipe their big cards out of their hand and really, really disrupt kind of how their deck works, as opposed to a lot of other discard cards where your opponent is selecting the card and sending it to the drop area. We're playing 1 Newfound Power Son Gohan. When you're playing the Piccolo leader, a lot of times people try to leave you at 4 life so that you can't use your surge abilities. So we're going to play 1 of these kind of as a surprise in order to awaken when we can. Another thing about this deck, and one of the reasons you can play so many of these 1-ofs and 2-ofs and stuff, is because of Piccolo's ability, where at the beginning of their turn, you get to look at the top card, put it on the top or bottom, and then draw a card. You see a lot of cards in this deck, so you're going to get to all your Special Beam Cannons and your Cell Kamehamehas, and if you need Gohan, you're probably going to be able to get to it still. 2 copies of Popo Guardian's Aid. When you combo with this card or when it attacks, it mills 3 from your deck, which is important because Super 17 Power Distilled needs 10 non-blacks in your discard pile in order to cost 4, and we really want it to cost 4. Also, Black Smoke Dragon, the secret where we're playing, needs 12, and this deck doesn't have any other way to mill. 2 Artificial Impact. This is the super combo that can be comboed with in a pinch, so if you need to, it can just be a 5k combo. But it also kills a card ignoring barrier, and your opponent has to choose a card and place it in their drop area. So once again, it discards cards and it helps out problems. Since in the build I'm playing right here when not playing the Draft Box Piccolo, partially to keep the cost down a little bit for you guys, partially because we're not really leaving a lot of battle cards on board until later in the game, so I don't think he's quite as good in this build. 4 of Goku Black, A Delicate Plan, and 4 of Twisted Justice, Fuse Zamasu. So if you don't know how these work, Goku Black can come in for 2 in the battle, so on your turn or your opponent's turn, and then for 3, you can put in play Twisted Justice from your hand, and then at the end of the turn, you'll untap an energy. Twisted Justice, when it comes down, either kills 2 things or takes 2 random cards out of their hand. So once again, taking cards out of their hand is good. It also is a double strike 25 indestructible, which is kind of annoying to get around. Some of the cards in the new set are better at it because a lot of them negate effects before KOing, things like Topo, but it's still really annoying to get rid of, and once it comes down, it's already gotten its value. 3 Vegeta the Cruel, this card's just good, also discards cards out of their hand. 3 of Super 17 Power Distilled. This is a card that hasn't seen much play yet, but has always kind of had a lot of potential. It's kind of one of the core points of the deck. So if you have 10 or more non-black battle cards in your discard pile, which the only black card we play is the Secret Rare, you can play him for 4 instead of 6. He has dual attack, and when he attacks, you choose a green extra card in your drop, add it to your hand. So you can choose any of our discard effects. You can choose our Heroes Mafuba. You can choose Hidden Potential, which a lot of times is really good. You add it to your hand, and then you warp a card in your drop, and your opponent has to warp a card in their hand. And that triggers for both attacks. So essentially, if he lands uninterrupted, your opponent has to warp 2 cards, and you get 2 green extra cards back. Which, another important reason to play Artificial Impact is that allows you to get combo power back off Super 17. So if you're tapping out for Super 17, you might want to grab these just so you have more cards to combo with. Lastly, we're going to play Black Smoke Dragon Eternal Evil. This is the new Secret Rare. I've tried this one out and the Ape Vegeta, the 8-drop blue-green one that arrivals. Both are good. It's going to be a lot of up to preference which one you play. The Black Smoke Dragon has a lot more utility, where you get any of the effects. You get 1 of 3 effects. You can warp all your opponent's battle cards, ignoring barrier, which is very, very good against certain decks, especially against the Universal 11 deck because it doesn't trigger any of their abilities because they're warped. You can send the top 7 cards of your opponent's deck to their warp and draw 2 cards, or you can choose 4 cards from your opponent's hand and send it to their warp. So the reason I decided to play this is that I believe that people are going to be playing a lot of Crusher Ball type effects in the new format, whether it be Crusher Ball or Champa, because with that new Freeze card that came out in this set, you're going to need ways to tap your opponent's battle cards when they're coming in, and it's just always kind of been a really good card. I think it's just getting better and better. So the nice thing about Black Smoke Dragon is if you drop it, even if they tap it, you can still active main its abilities. Now, it's going to be a lot more defensive than the Ape Vegeta Secret Rare. The Ape Vegeta Secret Rare can come down and just like instantly win the game sometimes. It can ramp you, so it can do other things. It's really a trade-off. It's really what you want to do is what it comes down to be honest. But yeah, that's the deck. Once again, I think it's crazy that you can just play 29 cards in your deck that discard cards out of your opponent's hand, since Piccolo essentially gets 2 cards every turn. Or gets like extra cards and extra ways to search things. Like it's very, very powerful. And I think this deck is probably going to be tier 1 going forward in some fashion, whether it's this build or a build that does use the Piccolo draft. I know that's one thing I really wanted to fit in that I couldn't really find a spot because I wanted to play extra copies of Cell Destroy and Kamehameha and Special Beam Cannon and things like that. So yeah, if you have any ideas, let me know. This might be the deck that I'm playing for Vegas. I'm pretty heavily considering it. I'm going to Vegas. I'm actually going to be starting up my Instagram, which you will be able to see all the wonderful things I do. I've never been before, so it should be pretty fun. I'll put a link to that in the description. A link to this deck list will be in the description. Go out there, play some Super, have some fun, and good luck at Vegas if you're going.